Hello, so good morning. It is like 7:30 in the morning and I'm here with a tag video. This is the high school required reading tag. I saw this on Books I'm Not Reading's channel. It was created by Nicole at Noteworthy Fiction and Alex at Stay at Home Reader. There are 11 questions, but the 11th one is just tagging people, so there are 10 questions. Let's go. First up, high school crush, name a book you were assigned in high school and loved at the time. Have you reread it and did it hold up? And for this, I'm just going to kind of point you to that Lord of the Flies shelf back there. If you can see my 7 copies of Lord of the Flies and then 2 books that are inspired by Lord of the Flies. Yes, I love Lord of the Flies. I still love Lord of the Flies. It is genuinely, I think, one of the best books ever written. I love just in general the writing. I love the characterization. The metaphor is a bit heavy-handed, but it's fun anyway. It's a really good book. To really practice doing kind of literary analysis on, just because it is very simple and has so much to it. It's just so meaty. It's a fucking good horror novel. So yes, Lord of the Flies, love it. 2, gym class. Name a book you were assigned to read that you hated, have, or would you give it a second chance? I think for that, I would really have to go up into college. I think I'm gonna have to go up into college. I don't remember hating very many books that I had to read in high school, and I was an English major, so I had to read a ton of books in college too. But in general, I'm going to say the Puritans. Anything that any Puritan ever wrote, that was like my least favorite part of my degree, was the first part of American Lit, because it was all Puritans. And no, I have not reread them, and I do not intend to. 3, locker combo. Was there a book you remember having to read but can't actually remember? Um, so when I'm thinking about high school, we read obviously Lord of the Flies. There was um, Mice and Men. That's all I really remember having to read in high school. I know I'm sure I had to read more, but then again, I was taking classes at the college, my English class at the college for junior and senior year. Um, and there I read Pride and Prejudice, Great Gatsby, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I guess I don't really remember Pride and Prejudice all that much. I remember I didn't love it, but it was like fine, you know. I don't know. 4, Cliff Notes. Was there a book you were supposed to read but didn't know? 5, electives. Did you read just for fun? What books were you reading outside of your assignments? Absolutely. I was absolutely I have been reading for fun since I was about 3 years old. And when it comes to what I was reading, mostly in high school, it was just Stephen King. Like I was reading some other stuff. Like I read like the Mortal Instruments, and I read like the Gone series, but mostly it was Stephen King. So I suppose you can see part of my Stephen King collection up there. I read so much Stephen King in high school that even though I've really slowed down on him at this point, I still only have about 6 of his books left to read for the first time. So absolutely, it was mostly just Stephen King. 6, Rebound. What book was you replaced from the typical assigned reading list? I didn't have to read it because when my classmates were, I was taking classes at the college, but The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, fucking I guess that's one I had to read for college, or is it? Or did I just read it by myself and hate it? I think I maybe had to read it for college. I hated that too. Replace that with literally any of his short stories. Like his short stories are great. The Scarlet Letter is terrible. So here we go. 7, teacher's pet. What book got you excited about reading for class? I mean, Lord of the Flies, but that's kind of my obvious answer there. I know in college, I really enjoyed Vanity Fair. I really enjoyed Germinal. That was also in French. I really enjoyed Rhyme the Ancient Mariner. 9, Nails on a Chalkboard. What was the book that made you groan when you found out you'd have to read it again? The only book I had to read a couple of times was a play, was Titus Andronicus, and I really liked Titus Andronicus because I read that in my Renaissance Revenge Strategies class and I read it in my Shakespeare class. Same professor. So I didn't really hate having to reread that one. It's a fun time, and I think the more times you read Shakespeare, the more you kind of understand it. So I don't really have an answer for that one. Oh, I think I skipped one. 8, study hall. What was the most difficult book you read in high school, i.e. the one you spent the most time studying? Again, high school, I don't really remember reading anything all that difficult. College, I mean, German was difficult mostly just because I was reading it in French. So that was hard. Shakespeare was more difficult than other things, like, you know, like your general stuff. Ooh, wait. And Scott Momaday, what did he write? I read for my Native American class. Housemaid of Dawn. That was fucking rough. That was difficult. I wrote an essay on that. And you know what? I got the golden paperclip for that essay. So my Native American lit class was taught by Larry Wywitty, who was North Dakota's like poet laureate for a time, and he was like edited the New Yorker or whatever. And every essay he would give the golden paperclip to whoever had the best essay in the class. And my golden paperclip came from my Housemaid of Dawn essay, which is great because I didn't really understand that book. 10, extra credit. What book do you think should be added onto every high school reading list? And I'm going to say Beartown by Frederick Backman. I know obviously it's not a classic, but I think one of my best teaching experiences was when I read that book with a very small set of sophomores. There were literally like 5 of them. It was my entire sophomore class, my entire English too, and it was such a great experience reading that book with them. I mean, obviously I love the book anyway. I read the book previously, but they had such good insights. I think it's a great one. I'm not tagging anybody, but yeah, that was the high school required reading tag. High school, I graduated high school 10 fucking years ago at this point, which is nuts. I don't remember much actually when it comes to what I had to read. I remember reading Lord of the Flies. I remember reading Mice and Men, but other than that, like, I don't really remember much of what we were doing. So there's that. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.